everybody, welcome back to HeyWalt. My name is Jayla Wilson, and thank you so much for tuning in to part 3 of my 5-part interview series with Darrin Williams, CEO of Southern Bank Corp. This week, Darrin and I are talking about the value of budgeting, tracking expenses, and how he taught his kids about the value of money at a very young age. Let's take a look. So your mom was like your very first client, it seems like, with helping, get their finances on straight. And like you say, it sounds amazing that someone, very educated and had lived many years, just didn't know, a lot or how to handle it. So I assume the younger you start, the better. So have you always talked to your children about finances? I know they're, almost out of college now, but.
Yeah, so we adopted early on the Crown Financial Principles for our family, and it's much more than just finances, but it's really kind of a way of life. And I remember, when your kids are young and they're in school, you go to all these different birthday parties. There are 20 kids in the class, you go to 19 birthday parties, and then you have one. And every kid is expected to bring a gift to the other kid at the birthday. And so we did that. Then when our kids hit 7 years old, we said, okay, we introduced them to this concept of charitable giving. And early on, we introduced them to the 3 jars of Crown. So the first jar is a savings jar. And anytime they got money from birthday or whatever, they had to put 20% in savings. And then actually the first jar is church, is giving to God. And 10% went there. The second jar was savings, 20% went there. And the third jar, 7% jar, that's for you to spend. And that's, so our kids grew up with 3 money jars, and they put 10% in church, they put 20% in their savings, and they put 7% in their jar to do what they want to. And that was what we did. Then when they hit 7 years old, we introduced them this concept of actually, thinking more than just themselves. And so we said, when you have your birthday party, DJ, my son, was first, because he's 17 months older, and his 7th birthday, he picked a charity that he wanted to support. At that time, he picked Heifer International. And he picked a charity, and he asked his friend, instead of buying him a gift, to donate to his charity, to give them money to pay for a gift to his charity. And then his family, we would buy him a big gift that he wanted for his birthday, and he did that, and he was amazed. I think he raised almost $400, because when people realized it's for charity, they gave more money, and his grandparents gave him a lot of money, and so he was able to buy a lot of animals. Helper, they buy animals in third world countries for people in various villages, and so he was able to buy a lot of animals. He was pretty excited about that. We did the same thing for Peyton. But I remember going to about his 8th birthday. He said, okay, so we're through with that charity stuff, right? I can start getting my gifts again. I said, no, this is a way of life for us. And so I tried to instill in them, habits of saving. First, giving to God. Second, saving, at least 20% of your money, usually for them that weren't working, just gifts, and then living off 7% of what they have. And that's something we tried to instill in them since they were really, really young. Even since they're in college, we still promote that and push that. So yeah, we started pretty early with it.
Well, good. That is great. So I don't have children and don't plan to have any anytime soon, but I'm taking notes. And I also feel like they should be really good at math. At that, 7 and younger, they're dividing their, gifts by 20% and 10%.
I got a smartphone. Okay. I got a smartphone. I have to be good at math, right?
True. This is true. Okay. Well, thank you so much for giving me all this information about your background, kind of how we got here. And I want to switch gears a little bit and kind of just talk about the tips you have for someone else. So if someone is saying, I've taken a look at my finances, or maybe I'm not even taking a look at my finances, I just know how we started this is that I've been wanting to move out of my parents' home, or someone may want to buy a car, or anyone who has some type of savings goal. What is the first tip when someone, lets you know I'm trying to take control of my finances, Darrin? What was the first thing you tell them to do?
Yeah, so the first thing that I tell them in the financial principles class I teach, I buy these little notepads, kind of old school. People probably do it on their phones, but I buy little notepads, and I tell them to write down every dime they spend. Until you understand where your money's going, you really don't understand your true financial picture, and you don't know, what's happening. And I've done this myself. It's amazing. When you go to the gas station, get gas, you run inside and get a fountain drink, a Coke for 99 cents, write it down. You buy a stick of gum or candy in line at the grocery store, write everything down. So I make people track their finances for a long period of time. Ideally you do it for about 3 months. Some people don't do it nearly that long, but I think I had you do it for 3 months. And then we sit down and we talk about it, and look and see where you're spending in ways that you don't really realize you're spending. And once you add up how much you're spending, for example, I would go by all the time the convenience store, gas station, and Cokes are bad for me, but I would drink Cokes. I'm trying to do better now. But I would go and get, and I thought I was doing good because the Coke was only 99 cents. But if you go in there, 6 days out of the week, that's $6. You do that times, 4 weeks in a month, that's $24. You could go and buy a liter of Coke. You can buy a liter of Coke for 99 cents and last you for, a whole week. And so there's a savings. So people are surprised at how much they're spending on things that just are very, very small, but in the aggregate, it becomes a pretty big number. So first thing I do is I maybe people track their spending and then look at their spending to see, do I recognize what I'm spending things on? Did I know I was spending this much money over 3 months? Did you know you'd spend $50 on Coke, Coca-Cola from the gas station or from the fountain drink? And so that's my first request for folks that I work with is to just track their spending.
Okay. And I did that, and I was very shocked on how much I was spending on food each month. Like I could have had utilities in a very nice luxury apartment. But okay, so you track them, and then that kind of helps, I know, to make the budget. But at some point, do you think people get good enough where they don't have to track anymore, or because if you're budgeting, you still have to know what you're doing. So do you keep tracking, or?
Yeah, ideally you do, but even me, we get lazy. We don't do it quite as much. So I encourage people to, if you're not going to do it all the time, but I encourage people to take blocks of a month and once a year track it for a month and just look at your finances. You've got to be actively engaged to really understand your finances. So you can't be passive. You've got to be actively engaged, and so tracking your finances then allows you to build a budget. And most people don't. A lot of people think they have a budget. They really just are reporting what they're spending. Budget really is about setting your priorities. What's important to you. And most people are just tracking what they spend. They're not creating a budget. So, after you track what you spend, then I encourage people to create a budget, a real budget, and to put everything in it. A lot of times we're not very honest with our budgets. And I think even with you, we talked early on about your budget, and you put a budget together and you left out Christmas. And I said, do you not buy anybody Christmas gifts? I said, well, let's put it in your budget. Because if not, then that's an unbudgeted item that actually puts you off budget and puts you off track. If it's a priority for you, put it in your budget. If not, don't spend on it.
Yes. The words I remember you telling me this isn't a realistic budget. Yeah. And so I guess because it doesn't include everything. So, and I know over time you really have to sit down and think about it. So I think that's what helps too with the 3 months of, tracking expenses and stuff like that, because even from month to month, things can pop up that may not happen on the average month. Yep. So you have to, account for that every month.
You have to be honest too, because, I didn't stop going to the convenience store and buying those 99-cent Cokes. After I tracked my spending, I cut back quite a bit, and then I got to the point where I don't do it nearly as often as I used to. But you're gonna do some of that, so don't claim you're not gonna eat out. Just set a budget on how much you're gonna eat out and try to stick to it. And we use an envelope system. That's pretty old school. Now you do it. You can, you got all these fancy fintech applications. You can do it on your smartphone. But it's real. It's real. When I first started teaching this class, it's real telling when you create a budget and you've got the envelopes and you got the money, or at least a ledger in each envelope what you're supposed to spend. And so when you get to 3/4 of the month and you spend all the money you're supposed to spend on gas, but yet you got months, several days left in the month. Either you didn't budget well, or you're driving more than you should have, or you used to, and so you got to decide: do I need to increase the budget, or do I need to stop going to places spending so much in gas or food or wherever it may be, or entertainment? And so budget, again, it lets you set your priorities, and then if you're honest, if you have an honest budget, if you're an honest banker, then that will really direct you to helping you chart a better financial future for your family.
Okay, everyone, we're halfway through our 5-part series with CEO Darrin Williams. So I hope you've enjoyed what we've talked about this far and that you've learned a lot about budgeting and being aware of how much you're spending each month. Next week for part 4, we'll discuss paying off debt, entrepreneurship, the importance of side hustles, and I can't wait to see you then. Y'all have a good day.